The estate was a maze of shadows at midnight, its grand halls silent except for the faint hum of the air conditioning. Jungkook moved through them, his sneakers soft against the marble, driven by a restlessness he couldn't shake. The near kiss in the security room, Taehyung's thumb brushing his lip, his hoarse promise of "you deserve more," had left him raw, his heart a tangle of longing and fear. He needed to see Taehyung, to bridge the gap that lingered despite their promises, before the weight of Seokjin's threat and the surrogacy contract crushed him entirely. He paused outside the study, the heavy oak door closed but a sliver of firelight seeping through the gap. His hand hovered over the handle, doubt creeping in. Taehyung had asked for rest, for focus, but Jungkook couldn't rest, not with the billionaire's words burning in his mind, not with the danger closing in. Taking a deep breath, he knocked softly, then pushed the door open. Taehyung sat behind his desk, a glass of amber liquid in his hand, the fire casting shadows across his sharp features. His shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, a rare sign of disarray, and his eyes were distant, lost in thought until they snapped to Jungkook. Surprise flickered, then softened into something warmer, though guarded. "Jin," he said, his voice low, rough from fatigue. "It's late. You should be sleeping." Jungkook stepped inside, closing the door behind him, his heart pounding. "I couldn't," he admitted, his voice quiet but steady. "Not after everything. The cafe, the debrief, what you said." He hesitated, his hands shoved in his pockets to hide their trembling. "I needed to see you." Taehyung set the glass down, his gaze piercing, searching Jungkook's face. "You're relentless," he said, a faint, bittersweet smile tugging at his lips. "What do you want from me, Jungkook?" "More than I've already given." Jungkook's breath hitched, the directness catching him off guard. He crossed the room, stopping just shy of the desk, his eyes locked on Taehyung's. "I want you to stop pulling away," he said, his voice soft but firm. "You keep saying I'm more, that I deserve more, but then you shut me out. I'm here, Taehyung. I'm choosing this, us. But I need you to choose it too." Taehyung's expression shifted, a storm of emotions flickering, fear, longing, resolve. He stood, rounding the desk to stand before Jungkook, his presence overwhelming, the firelight highlighting the tension in his jaw. "You think I haven't chosen," he said, his voice low, raw. "Every move I make, every risk I take, it's for you. To keep you safe, to keep you here." Jungkook's heart raced, Taehyung's closeness stirring a warmth he couldn't ignore. "Then why stop?" he asked, his voice trembling with vulnerability. "In the security room, you almost," he faltered, his cheeks flushing, but he held Taehyung's gaze. "Why hold back?" Taehyung's eyes darkened, a flicker of desire breaking through his control. He stepped closer, their chests nearly brushing, his hand lifting to cup Jungkook's cheek, his touch gentle but firm. "Because I'm terrified," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper, raw with honesty. "You're unraveling me, Jin. Everything I've built, my walls, my control, you're tearing it down. And I don't know how to stop it." Jungkook leaned into the touch, his hands rising to rest on Taehyung's arms, feeling the tension beneath his skin. "Maybe you don't have to," he whispered, his eyes searching Taehyung's. "Maybe we're both unraveling. And maybe that's okay." Taehyung's breath hitched, his thumb brushing over Jungkook's cheekbone, the gesture achingly tender. "You don't know what you're asking," he said, his voice hoarse, strained with restraint. "If I let go, If I give in, there's no going back. Jungkook's pulse pounded, the air between them electric with possibility. Then don't go back, he said softly, his voice a plea and a challenge. I'm not asking for promises, Taehyung. Just you. Right now. For a moment, Taehyung was still, his eyes a storm of longing and fear. Then, slowly, he leaned forward, his lips brushing Jungkook's forehead in a gesture so soft it stole Jungkook's breath. The kiss was chaste, a promise deferred, but it carried a weight that made Jungkook's chest ache. Not yet, Taehyung murmured against his skin, his voice trembling. When this is over, when you're safe, I'll give you everything. Jungkook closed his eyes, the warmth of Taehyung's lips lingering, his heart torn between frustration and hope. He nodded, his hands tightening briefly on Taehyung's arms before falling away. I'll hold you to that, he said, his voice quiet but resolute. Taehyung pulled back, his expression softening, though his eyes still burned with intensity. Go to bed, Jian, he said, his tone reverting to command, but laced with warmth. We've got a fight ahead. I need you strong. Jungkook nodded, his heart still racing as he left the study, the firelight fading behind him. Taehyung's confession, you're unraveling me, and that fleeting kiss were a spark, a promise of something more waiting beyond the storm. Seokjin's threat loomed, the surrogacy contract a constant weight, but Jungkook felt stronger, bound to Taehyung by trust and a shared vulnerability. As he returned to his room, he knew one thing for certain, he was ready to face the fight, for Taehyung and for the future they were weaving together. The security room buzzed with a quiet intensity, its monitors casting a cold glow over the conference table where Jungkook sat, his hands clasped to steady their restless energy. The memory of Taehyung's lips on his forehead, soft, restrained, a promise of everything, lingered like a spark, fueling his resolve despite the weight of Seokjin's looming threat. Taehyung stood beside him, his dark suit sharp against the room's stark backdrop, his presence a steady anchor as Jimin outlined the next phase of their counterattack. Jimin tapped his tablet, pulling up a grainy surveillance feed of a sleek office building in Seoul's financial district. Seokjin's been sighted here, he said, his voice clipped, professional. It's a front for Yoongi's network, used for laundering and intel trading. Our operative, Minho, gave us enough to know they're planning a media blitz, leaking the surrogacy details to tank Mr. Kim's merger vote. We've got a narrow window to strike before they go public. Jungkook's stomach twisted, the idea of his private role in Taehyung's legacy exposed to the world making his skin crawl. He glanced at Taehyung, whose expression was unreadable, though his fingers drummed lightly on the table, a sign of the storm beneath his calm. What's the play? Jungkook asked, his voice steady, determined to prove his place in this fight. Jimin's eyes flicked to him, a flicker of respect in his gaze. We infiltrate, he said. A small team, me, 2 operatives, and Mr. Kim. We plant false intel to discredit their leak and extract Seokjin's next move. It's high risk, but it could shut them down before they hit the media. Taehyung's jaw clenched, his gaze shifting to Jungkook. And Jian, he asked, his voice low, protective. He stays here, under guard. Jungkook's defiance flared, his hands unclenching as he leaned forward. No, he said, his voice firm, meeting Taehyung's eyes. I'm not sitting this out. If they're targeting me, I need to be part of stopping them. I can help, monitor feeds, run comms, something. Taehyung's eyes narrowed, a mix of frustration and admiration flickering. "You've done enough," he said, his voice low, almost a growl. The cafe was too close. "I won't put you in harm's way again." Jungkook held his gaze, his heart pounding. "You're not putting me anywhere," he said, his voice quiet but resolute. "I'm choosing this. You said we're partners. Let me be one." The room went silent, Jimin glancing between them, sensing the weight of their exchange. Taehyung's fingers stilled, his eyes searching Jungkook's face, a storm of protectiveness and trust warring within. "You're relentless," he said finally, his voice rough but tinged with reluctant pride. "Fine. You'll stay in the van, running comp with Jimin second. No field work." "That's non-negotiable," Jungkook nodded, a small victory warming his chest. "Deal," he said, his voice softer now, a flicker of gratitude in his eyes. Jimin cleared his throat, redirecting focus. "We move tomorrow night," he said. "Jin, you'll train on the comp system this afternoon. Mr. Kim, we'll need your sign-off on the in-full plan by noon." Taehyung nodded, and the meeting adjourned, the team dispersing to prepare.